What's up, Womack Nostalgia? Dave here in our podcast. What's going on in pop culture right now? Got another pod this week. A few key things to get to, including the 2025 Grammy nominations. Of course, a lot to get into in terms of who was and wasn't nominated. On the music front, we have new music from NCT Dream, ASAP Ferg, and XG. And also, we have to get into Red One, the new action comedy film starring Chris Evans and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So make sure you subscribe. YouTube.com/nostalgiapod, Linktree.com/nostalgiapod. See the links below. Get the best of 2024 Spotify playlist linked below. Let me know it's good, and let's get into it. What's up, Womack Nostalgia? Dave here with a review of NCT Dream's fourth album, Dreamscape. This is the follow-up to the EP Dream Scape from earlier this year. Confusing. Not dissimilar from my general lack of understanding of the differences between the NCT subunits and what they represent. I find it all pretty hard to keep track of at this point. Nonetheless, I say NCT Dream alongside NCT 127 are probably the most easy to follow of the NCT universe to me. And Dream has definitely made songs I've liked over the years. I don't think I've ever loved a full project. However, NCT Dream's fourth album, Dreamscape, is my favorite release from them. Easily, I thought this was some of their most cohesive work, largely very electronic leaning, 90s, 2000s dance, up-tempo, largely the entire time. I thought this was a really pleasant and fun listen. Every song, at minimum, is pretty listenable, and some of the songs are incredibly catchy because there's some great melodies on here. That said, I do find it funny to reflect back on like the past NCT Dream projects, and where like a lot of their music, it's kind of all over the place. Like this does not remind me of ISTJ from last year in the slightest. Nonetheless, songs like When I'm With You, Heavenly, Off the Wall, I Hate Fruits. There's some fun bops on here. There's some sticky melody. There's some catchy hooks for sure. And I think when it comes to NCT, that's about all we can ask for at this point. The first track, Intro Dreamscape, I love the synths on the chorus with that like electronic breakdown. Really sets the tone for like what you can expect production wise on this album. When I'm With You, very sticky melody, break beat almost, like dance beat, very like throwback vibe. Verse 2, I thought the flow was super up tempo. That's a highlight for sure. Flying Kiss, one of the advanced singles. This song has like increasing tempo as we get to the chorus, and the chorus definitely saves the song. I thought the verses were just okay here. I Hate Fruits, I think, is funny because very energetic chorus, great drums. Lyrics are like very questionable. This is like one of those classic like cringy analogies you can hear in K-pop from time to time, and I think this one's there where like at least the fact that the song sounds pretty good like helps you get past it. No Escape, I thought the auto tune stood out in the intro because it's like really like heavy like electronic, like more so than normal, fun, almost like swirling beat, and there's this aggressive rap at the start. Solid song. Best of Me, very synthy, very disco pop. The chorus I thought was pretty messy. Like the beat is like subdued mix wise. I don't know. It just doesn't really sound the best to me. I thought the pause flow, like hip hop wise, in the second verse though, grabbed me because it was just unique. You in all caps, a slower song with these like simmering drums, but then it begins to pick up, and there's like old timey like retro switch up in the middle production wise that grabbed me for sure. Heavenly, this like dancey piano is very much 80s vibe, bouncy rap flow. I think the doubled vocals with the singing I thought was quite fun, and the hook's pretty good too. Off the Wall was a huge surprise to me. This song is incredibly cool and gang coded, specifically Get Down on It. Like this is a funky ass bop, and the ooh ah like chorus is great. Like this song really surprised me. This song is pretty sick. I would love to hear more songs in this vein from NCT. And then the last song, Rains in Heaven, for a outro song, it's still pretty up tempo. This pulsing drum beat, even though the singing's a bit softer, pretty good. So I think for the most part, that's the whole track list. I liked at least an element in every one of those songs, and that's not often the case with NCT, which again I think of as a project that they're often just like throwing paint at the wall and figuring out what sticks, and then often going to a new wall and throwing new paint, not even sticking with the paint they just applied. Like it's really hard to grasp that project to me at this point. I think it speaks a lot to like SM Entertainment not exactly having a unified sound, to say the least, right now, which can be a good thing and usually is a welcome thing, but also can leave you a bit aimless at times. But I think this is a huge highlight in the NCT Dream catalog for sure, and certainly their most cohesive project, front to back to date. But let me know, what did you think of NCT Dream's fourth album, Dreamscape? Do you agree it's their best work like me? Let me know. And for more music reviews, more K-pop reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time. What's up, Womack Nostalgia? Dave here with a review of XG's second EP, second mini album, Awe. XG, of course, the relatively new, quote, global girl group, as they brand themselves. XG is a bit unique in that regard, of course, managed by Avex, a Japanese company, but they operate out of South Korea, and they make primarily English music, but they promote themselves around the K-pop, promotion system. They were at KCON last year, so I certainly consider them the way I consider most K-pop groups, but acknowledging that there is a little bit of a difference with them. Nonetheless, actually really kind of came out of nowhere last year, and I became a really big fan of theirs. I thought their song Puppet Show was absolutely fantastic, one of my top 10 K-pop songs of the year last year. XG have been successful quickly just because their talent is on full display with their music. They've really developed two lanes for themselves, one around really good hip-hop, some of the best rapping you will find in K-pop. The flows, the bars are great, and also dancier, poppier sound. And I think both of those lanes for XG have been successful to this point. And seeing how that meshed together as this group continues to grow and make more music was my main interest in this next release, Awe. XG's second EP, Awe, very much continues their upward trajectory as one of the most exciting groups in and around the K-pop sphere. XG's rap is tremendous. Some of the best flow and technical ability you will find across the K-pop industry, but they also are equally adept at making fun, dancey bangers, and often they will bring in hip-hop into their more poppy songs. Due to the number of singles, Awe isn't a lot of new music, really only 3 of these songs we hadn't heard to this point, but I think XG is once again putting their best foot forward and showcasing why they've become so popular. Previously released singles, If You Know You Know and Something Ain't Right, are excellent dance tracks. But of course, check out the new song Howling. Hear the rap ability on full display. Of course, the previously released song Woke Up is probably their hardest rap to date. At this point, I'm ready for a full length from XG because I think the concept is really working and they're really executing on the talent they have thus far. So keep the momentum going. I want to hear more. I also should note that earlier this year they released a songs, like a sponsored, collab song with the video game Valorant called Undefeated, which has kind of curiously become a big K-pop trend where almost every big K-pop girl group at this point has released a video game tie-in song. I think to New Jeans and Kiss of Life and Le Seraphim, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some more as well. It's just kind of funny how this has kind of happened out of nowhere. And of course, on Awe, we have the Woke Up remix, as I said. The original version of Woke Up, though, which features, mainly vocals from the XG members. This remix is primarily guest spots. The remix functions as actually they both really function as ciphers. They're just really pure rap displays, and it's pretty fun. As I mentioned, Awe isn't a ton of new music because the first song, Howl, is a 80-second interlude tying into the first real song, Howling. And of course, they have Space Meeting skit on here. And then, If You Know You Know, Something Ain't Right were singles, and Woke Up Remix was previously released, and of course is a remix to a previously released single. So in the reality, it's Howling, In the Rain, and Is This Love, which are the only new songs, which is fine. This is pretty typical. I think with Howling, which they've already performed live on Music Bank with noticeably, live vocals. We love to see it. Again, this is why I think of them as a K-pop group because they're promoting on K-pop, award and performance shows. Howling, you have this smooth transition out of the interlude, and then the drum and cymbal almost gave me cowboy bebop vibes in the beginning. The guitar drops as the verses kick in, and the bars are definitely hard. I think the chorus, though, is just okay. I don't love the actual howl that you hear on the song. And the melody is definitely better when it's sung than anything before that. But still, I think it's a pretty solid song from there. It's not my favorite, but certainly worthy of a single and being the title track of a release. If You Know You Know, one of their most polished songs to date, super dancey. I love the hook. I love the kick drum. I think it's just a very catchy song. I think it's great. Along those lines, the other single, Something Ain't Right, with this looping dance beat. I love the vocals. It's kind of like a classic pop banger, super up tempo. I think the song just completely rules, and then it really gets to like level up because in the second verse you have some rap. It's a great example of the pop and hip hop sides of XG coming together in a really like synergistic way. It's really making the song better because they're together. In the Rain, this is interesting to me because it on the surface the song is a bit more plain. The drum hits are nice, but it's simpler production for sure, and the vocals are even a bit more restrained. It's just kind of more pure and natural singing, and the bar for bar of it all is pretty fun, but it's not as an aggressive a flow. And even though this is probably like the least interesting song on Awe, there's still enough like variety to the song that I think it stands up as like still pretty decent. Again, speaks to XG's relatively high floor as a group. Woke Up remix. I think I think it's a sitar. There's some kind of Eastern instrumentation that really stands out on the beat. And then it's just a hard cipher. I think at the 3-minute mark you get the Tokyo Drift chimes very noticeably. But I think I prefer the original version of the song just for the XG members being more involved. But it's a rap banger. Nothing else to say. And then Is This Love, the last song, solid, still upbeat, still pretty fun. And again, I just would love to hear more from this group. I think they're really crushing to this point. They just put out a lot of heat in the last year and a half or so, and it's seemingly working. They're developing Western fan base. They seem to be, as they're intending, this global group, this X-pop as they brand it. And one thing I can't really speak to is like, what is their popularity in Korea versus Japan? Like, what is the disparity of that? Because usually, music has to be marketed specifically to one of the markets or the other. It's hard to have music that works in both at the same time. You see that with like groups like Twice and ITZY and stuff making Japanese albums, right? It's very common to specifically market to Japan. So I'm curious, like, is XG successful in Japan, even though they don't really operate there? I don't know. I can't speak to it. But let me know. What did you think of XG's Awe? Are you in agreement with me that this group is on the up and want to hear more? Let me know. And for more music reviews, more K-pop reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. What's up, Welcome back to Nostalgia. Dave here with a review of A$AP Ferg's Darold. I'm not sure if this is technically his third album or one of the mixtapes. It's a bit unclear what everything is called these days with the Ferg discography. Nonetheless, this is his first release in over 4+ years since Floor Seats 2 came out in fall 2020. Of course, I'm a massive A$AP Ferg fan. I've seen Ferg, I believe, 5 times live, sometimes headlining, sometimes in support of A$AP Rocky. Ferg's standing in the A$AP mob, so to speak, is a bit more tenuous. I'm not exactly sure how true some of the things that we've heard about Ferg no longer being in the mob, what the mob even means in 2024, etc. You'll see on YouTube that the song titles are labeled with Ferg, not A$AP Ferg, but of course his YouTube channel name, his name on Spotify and other places still says A$AP Ferg, so not entirely sure, but it does seem like there's at least been a changing of the guard at least a little bit as these guys have become older. Of course, A$AP Ferg is 36 years old at this point, so things change. Of course, as a big Ferg fan, someone who's really one of my favorite rappers of the 2010s without question, always looking forward to hearing more music from him. Work Remix, Certified Classic, one of the best New York rap songs of all time. People know this. And then he was actually able to somehow outdo himself with Plain Jane, which became his biggest hit to date. Of course, Plain Jane came out a while ago at this point, 2016. So it's been a little while since Ferg, I think, really made a big impact. But he's always been a good and interesting rapper after the kind of humble beginnings, right? Coming up out from under A$AP Rocky's shadow and becoming a really fully fledged and worthy artist in his own right. I'm so happy that A$AP Ferg's Darold is definitely my favorite project from Ferg, since at least still striving, maybe even beyond that, because Ferg sounds so refreshed, energetic, motivated on this album. It's a great combination of pure Ferg bangers and also great storytelling and introspection. I think we have some of the hardest songs Ferg's released in some time. Thought I Was Dead, Demons, Messy, Darold. These are great tracks. These are bangers. These are hard. And then also some really impressive storytelling songs. There's a lot of soulful choices and whatnot. Is it perhaps a bit up and down or all over the place, in terms of its musical approach and, kind of taking different sounds? I think that's probably true. But to me, like, this sounded like exactly what I wanted to hear from a Ferg album. And that just makes me happy in 2024. Track 1, Light Work, is a bit of a mess because I mean, you have this like, choir background after getting all these like drill features on there. It's kind of a strange song, but then track 2, which was released a few weeks ago as a single, Thought I Was Dead, is such a banger. Triumphant horns. I love the line about having one more joint with Sony, and then it's time to renegotiate. I mean, he's probably been with RCA Records for over 10 years at this point, so meaningful line. And then the song has this epic beat switch, which I love. There's a few other beat switches on the album. It's really, I think, nicely produced song. Track 3, Alive, I think this was interesting because it's like really up tempo and good flow with this almost like industrial beat from Ferg. But then he gets introspective. He mentions suicidal thoughts. He talks about the generation gap between himself and the kids at his shows. He talks about not being happy with his weight. Like, I think there's a lot to this song. Pretty self-reflective. There's this one moment where you heard this chanting, and I was like, "Is this the Harkonnens in Dune 2? Are we at the arena?" Like, it was pretty cool. The single Allure, featuring Future on a Mike Will Made It beat. I think this song is pretty good. The beat's good. It's a fun melody from Ferg. The chorus is pretty catchy. I like Ferg's hums, the classic Ferg hum under Future's verse. This is one of the songs that, like, Ferg has made songs like this over the years where this is like a big, like mainstream rap song with a big feature. And like, he's pretty good at like fitting in with these songs, but I never feel like I love any of these tracks all that much. So like, this is a song that I think is pretty solid, but just doesn't really grab me, I guess you could say. The next song, Demons, features Denzel Curry allegedly, but I did not hear Denzel on this short, like sub 2 minute song. There's this like brief moment where there's this like, is the nightlight like line, which is like a kid voice. Is that Denzel with like his vocals pitched up? Because if that wasn't, then I have no idea where he was in this song. He didn't produce it either. But it's a fun song because I think Ferg super upbeat and really bopping. Like, the flow's good. Messy, another highlight, orchestral beat mixed with like a really catchy drum kit. I think the verses are great from Ferg. The thing that holds it back a little bit is as this repetitive hook that really kills the momentum. French Tips features Coco Jones, unsurprisingly very smooth, nice snares, good flow from Ferg. Dead Homies, you have Ferg singing, and it's honestly not bad. We've heard him sing before, I'm thinking about Trap Lord, for example, the Hood Pope song, banger, right? He sings in this. He's pretty good. Not a song necessarily revisit, obviously heavier subject matter, but like pretty solid. Like him singing with these background vocalists singing, harmonizing with him and stuff. It's not bad. You have 2 Mary J. Blige features on this with Casting Spells and Chosen. I think my favorite of those would be Casting Spells, which is pretty good. Pool, I like the storytelling again, more subtle keys on the production. Chosen, again, love the keys. And then the last song, Darold, it's kind of like a flexing outro from Ferg, but pretty good, And again, like, I guess I don't have like grand expectations for Ferg albums because like really since Trap Lore there hasn't been like a great Ferg project. He hasn't been a project artist for most of his career. That's fine. I know he'll tour this album and I will certainly be going. My 6th time seeing Ferg, but like I'll just always go when he's around because like the songs are bangers and he's a great live performer. So I'll be down. This, to me, did everything I needed a new Ferg album to do, and I think, given the 4-year layoff, I'm really happy that it's hit as well as it did for me. And I'll take the opportunity to say that A$AP Rocky, where the fuck is the new album, bro? He had a great year with singles this year. Hijack, Taylor Swift. I was really excited for the, Don't Be Dumb album that was previously dated, then taken off, he said, due to sample issues, allegedly. Taylor Swift got a Grammy nomination for the music video. The momentum was there. What the fuck's going on with Rocky? Like, can we drop this album, please? A lot of writing on that. There was not as much writing on this Ferg album as there is on the Rocky album. Nonetheless, I'll be talking about the Rocky album if it eventually comes out. It probably will eventually. We'll get there. Let me know, though, what you think of A$AP Ferg's Darold. What was your favorite moment on it? And for more rap reviews, more music reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time. What's up, One Back to Nostalgia? Dave here with the review of Red 1, the new action comedy film from Jake Kasdan, starring Chris Evans and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I got this film a little bit early with those advanced screenings. It's coming out this week. And yeah, I'll just kind of jump in. Vague spoilers, not a spoiler intense movie for sure, but I'll be talking about it a bit. This, of course, is the reunion between The Rock and Jake Kasdan, who directed the recent Jumanji films. So, The Rock, obviously a very involved producer, working with someone he's comfortable with on a big production. And this is a film that was originally dated for holiday of last year and was delayed. So we heard about this from the strikes, but also apparently there's a lot of issues behind the scenes with this movie. The budget ballooned over $200 million. It was a troubled production from what we've heard. You can read about that on the Wrap for more information. But movie's finally out. And of course, a movie with The Rock and Chris Evans, two massive A-list stars, warrants attention no matter what. Also familiar faces including J.K. Simmons and Lucy Liu and Kieran Shipka and Nick Kroll. Like, it's a pretty packed cast for sure. On its surface, Red One is a pretty tight concept. What if someone kidnaps Santa Claus? Featuring Chris Evans playing a schwarmy dirtbag with a heart of gold, something he's done before, and The Rock playing a stoic head of security, taking himself way too seriously, something The Rock does all the time. A lot of that sounds fine and familiar. The issue with Red One is this movie gets really off the rails and becomes a monotonous slog over the course of 2 hours. It's taking a lot of pieces from other Christmas movies. There's a lot of familiar beats in here, and I think if it committed to maybe less of those beats and therefore develop some of them a bit more, the movie would be a bit more beyond just being like this passable, bare minimum like success, if you could call it that. A lot of the character work really struggles with this movie because there's just way too much plot to process, and I think some of the most intriguing elements about the movie, namely like the North Pole operation that Santa runs in this film, it ultimately gets short shrift as the movie has to jet set around the world. J.K. Simmons is amusing as Santa Claus. He's not in the movie a ton, primarily in the beginning, but like obviously J.K. Simmons, he's gotten swole in his older years. Really fun, fits the role well, and the original premise of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Caleb Drift character as the head of North Pole security, his lead bodyguard, effectively. Interesting, right? And it's the ELF is the acronym we learn. And is The Rock actually an elf? We don't know. There's some clever twists on Christmas convention along those lines. And when we spend time in the secluded North Pole, I think it's pretty cool. I'd like to spend more time in the North Pole in this movie, and I wish the rampant CGI you get depicting this futuristic hidden North Pole civilization, I wish that was looked decent at all. I think a lot of that CGI establishing work is really garish. Chris Evans also doing a role he can play well. He's great as a charismatic dirtbag, a la Knives Out. The problem I think with this movie is that it wants to redeem Chris Evans' character, Jack, this hacker and bounty hunter who unwittingly does hack work leading to the kidnapping of Santa, and this is of course days before Christmas, so everyone getting their presents is under siege, under threat, and I think all that's pretty engaging as a premise for a holiday movie as far as these things go. But it just kind of gets off the rails from there. I think the villain is a complete non-entity. Kieran Shipka as Grilla, the Icelandic ice witch who hates Christmas, and I thought that was just completely half-baked to say the least, and there's just no tension, and it resolves really dully at the end of the film. Christopher Hugh, aka Tormund from Game of Thrones, he also plays Krampus, the brother of Santa Claus, of course in his full corporeal goat form. And the whole diversion where we go off to Bavaria to see Krampus for help, it's just it's a completely different movie. And of course this is following after the time we spend in Aruba with Nick Kroll's middleman black market character, who also his performance is completely out of whack tonally. And again, just commit to a few different lanes. I think it'd be a lot more fun because there's some amusing elements in this movie with the technology that Santa and the ELF all have, where they can shrink and increase the size of themselves and inanimate objects like cars and toys and stuff. And some of the action elements there actually are fun because there's a cleverness or a uniqueness to them, at least in fits and starts. The Rock, as I said, he just can't help but take himself incredibly seriously these days, and his lack of humor and complete absence of self-deprecation these days just makes him way less fun to be with than he used to be, I don't know, 5+ years ago. He's just, for a charismatic guy, he just feels increasingly one note these days. And I couldn't help but chuckle, but like during this early scene where the Santa kidnapping is happening, Calum is in hot pursuit trying to prevent the escape from happening. And he basically like jumps off the like top of Santa's, castle, so to speak, and like careens down, and he's like doing this completely like super heroic behavior that's completely beyond the realm of disbelief. And it's like, oh, of course the Rock need to fit in these like humorous moments where he dives off a building thousands of feet. And like, yeah, if does it fit the logic of the movie? Fine, there's no issues with that. But it's more about like The Rock just having to push that stuff into his own movie. I think the buddy cop stuff between Evans and Johnson is some of the strongest, just because again they're really charismatic guys, as we know. I think their dynamics are good. The stuff that really doesn't work for me is everything with Jack's family life. There's just not enough time dedicated to it. We did not need it at all. Lucy Liu also completely wasted in the thankless role. It's supposed to evoke like Nick Fury, this like international mythological, society or FBI, International Interpol, that like monitors all the magical stuff in the world, not just Santa, other things as well. Almost like suggesting that like future franchise potential with the movie, perhaps. I don't know. She doesn't have a whole lot to do. She gets like a token like action sequence at the very end, at least. But yeah, Red One. I liked the first 20 minutes. I was pretty entertained, and then the movie just increasingly like diminishing returns you, which is like, okay, I get it. And like, I think the snowman fight was pretty fun, but everything with Krampus didn't really work for me. And then the last half of the movie is pretty dull. Yeah, not that good. It is funny that Chris Evans has been on a pretty poor run of form movie choice wise, apart from the first Knives Out. And of course, we know The Rock has been not doing too well, Black Adam notwithstanding. He'll get picked up voice work wise with Moana too, we know. But yeah, Red One. It's amusing in moments, but really just I think a bit ill-conceived in terms of what it actually could have been. I think if the movie was a bit developed down into something a bit easier to distill. I don't know. It's whatever. What'd you think of Red One? Let me know. Did you like it more than me? And of course, for more movie reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. What's up, Mac Nostalgia? Dave here with my reaction to the 2025 Grammy nominations. This, of course, is the Grammy period for September 16th of last year to August 30th of this year, for the Grammys taking place on February 2nd, 2025. And this is a Grammy cycle that featured a lot of star power, a lot of big names, and a lot of things we expected to happen did happen with the nominations, and it was really more about a question of how much other things would happen in terms of big nominations. Chief among those is, of course, this is once again Taylor Swift going head-to-head with Beyonce. We knew this was coming ever since Cowboy Carter and the Tortured Poets Department released, a month apart earlier this year. They're both nominated for Album of the Year. Other songs from both of them are nominated a lot. Beyonce, impressively, nominated across genre, which I think is correct given the breadth of that album. The question really with the rest of these 2025 Grammy nominations is who else would get into that mix? Because, of course, when we talk about pop in 2025, we don't actually talk about Taylor and Beyonce all that much, because this was the year of the big breakout from two brand new stars, relatively speaking, with Sabrina Carpenter and Chappell Roan, and also the big mainstream breakout, finally, for Charli XCX. Thankfully, all three of those women are also in the Album of the Year category, and that is amazing. I was not necessarily expecting that, especially from Charli, someone who has struggled for mainstream attention and recognition over the years, despite the consistent critical adulation. Of course, I'm a big fan of hers. The big, mainstream success she found with Brat gave me hope that this would happen, but it's really great to actually see it, fulfilled with the nominations. So just, going through the big categories, we're going to go through some of the genre categories as well. So, of course, just getting into the general field here with Album of the Year, and we'll get through the genre categories as well. We have these 5 women I just mentioned: Taylor, Chappell, Beyonce, Sabrina, and Charli. They're all there. Also, unsurprisingly, Billie Eilish is here for Hit Me Hard and Soft. All that makes a lot of sense. Big surprise for me is actually Andre 3000 for New Blue Sun. Of course, his debut solo album where Andre plays the flute and makes that smooth jazz. I was not expecting that to get Grammy recognition, but here it is. Also, here we have a classic Grammy move where you have something kind of unforeseen. Think of this as like the John Batiste slot at this year's Grammys, and that would be English singer Jacob Collier's album, Jesse Volume 4. Didn't expect that one either. Now, who didn't make it into Album of the Year? I think thinking about big artists, Dua Lipa not being here, not surprising given the relative, lack of success for Radical Optimism. But Ariana Grande is not here also. She is nominated down the line a little bit, but she did not get into Album of the Year, and I didn't necessarily see that coming at the beginning of the year when that album came out. Bad Bunny's last album from last year, Nadia Sabe, was in the mix for this Grammy period, did not break through to Album of the Year this year. I guess that was certainly in the cards, although that was not his most celebrated album. And of course, we should note that due to this Grammy period, there's a few big albums that will be nominated next time around because they came out just after the period ended. Notably, that would be Fred Again, Jamie XX, and of course, Tyler the Creator for Chromacopia. So none of them are in the mix here by design. Moving through the record of the year, pretty unsurprising, like Texas Hold'em, Beyonce, Espresso, Sabrina, 360, Charlie, Birds of a Feather, Billy, Not Like Us, Kendrick. Love to see it there. That would be my choice. Good Luck Babe from Chapel, Fortnite from Taylor and Post. All that makes sense. I guess the big surprise is Now and Then, that like new Beatles song from a few months ago. Fine. Song of the year, a bunch of the songs I just mentioned once again. Of course, we know there's tons of overlap. Texas Hold'em, Birds of a Feather, Good Luck Babe. From Sabrina this time, it's Please, Please, Please. Of course, because it's the songwriting category, not the song construction award between record and song. So that makes sense to differentiate that way. I like the choice. Also, Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars duet, Die With a Smile is here. Instantly massive track this year that really did not do much for me personally, but that song is huge. Fortnite's also here, and then Shabuzi for a bar song, Tipsy. I think that makes sense. I think that's a really just nomination, honestly. So, hard to be too critical of this. For me, my favorite Billy song off the last album was Lunch, which is kind of in contrast to most of the vibe of the rest of that album, which I didn't really care for as much as I wanted to. Birds of the Feather, though, became the bigger hit. It makes sense that this is what happened, but I personally would have been advocating for Lunch, which will be in my top 10 songs of the year. Spoilers. Best New Artist, always an interesting category for who gets in. We have Benson Boone, Sabrina Carpenter, Doechii, Kurungabin, who I'm not familiar with. That's a Texas band. Ray, Chapel Roan, Shabuzi, and Teddy Swims. On the surface, looks fine. My biggest beef with this, and I'm really happy to see Doechii in here, and Doechii got a lot of Grammy love. That's awesome. Her last album, Alligator Bites Never Heal, is amazing. One of the best rap albums of the year. Great for her. I don't consider Doechii super new, though, but it's fine. It's the breakthrough. Sabrina Carpenter, though, I think is pretty egregious in Best New Artist because this is not like her first album after the Disney stuff. The album, Emails Can't Send came out. The album was nonsense. Like, Sabrina has had success already. I think it's a bit of a stretch for her to be in this category. It's not the most egregious stretch they've done Best New Artist. We know how crazy it gets in there sometimes, but to me, she's not exactly new. And this is a great opportunity to point out a massive omission for this award, Best New Artist, and that would be, of course, Tommy Rickman. Tommy Rickman was completely blanked by the Grammys. $1 Million Baby was not nominated for anything, and Tommy didn't get into Best New Artist. I thought both of those were really safe. Maybe Tommy doesn't get through to like Song of the Year, which I think would have been just fine. But like I was expecting a Best New Artist nomination from him, and I find it a bit perplexing that did not happen. Producer of the Year to me is interesting just because of who isn't in it. It's this year it's Alicia, DeMille, Ian Fitchuk, Mustard, DJ Mustard, and Dan Nigro. And that means Jack Antonoff is not nominated after winning this 3 times in a row the last few times. I personally would go with Dan Nigro because between his work with Olivia Rodrigo on the Deluxe that came out this year, as well as his stuff with Chapel, Probably a good pick. Ian Fitzgerald, though, with the Casey Musgrave and Maggie Rogers work, also is a pretty decent pick. So we'll see who wins that in the end. Going on to the pop categories, I think these are pretty strong. Pop solo performance, you have Beyonce from Bodyguard, Espresso, Apple from Charlie, Birds of a Feather, and Good Luck Babe. Love that Apple's here. That was my favorite Charlie song. When I came out, obviously that became a big hit off Brat, but cool that it got recognized. And then I'm so happy Bodyguard's here from Beyonce and Cowboy Carter. That's my favorite song off the album, and I think that song's just a pure banger. It's awesome that it's here. Pop duo group performance. This one's interesting. So we have, I think unsurprisingly, Die With A Smile, Gaga and Bruno again. Guess, Charlie, the remix with Billy, makes a lot of sense. Levi's Jeans, that's the Beyonce and Post song. So Post is nominated for both of his big pop songs this year, the song with Taylor and the song with Beyonce. You have Us, that's the Gracie Abrams song featuring Taylor Swift. I'm curious if Gracie Abrams would have got as much attention if not for the Taylor connection. Then we also have the Boy Is Mine remix, Ariana Grande with Brandy and Monica, of course, reminiscent of the original version of that song. That's kind of the best look Ari got this cycle, which is crazy again to consider what happened. But then you look to pop vocal album, and it's Sabrina, Billy, Ari, Chapel, and Taylor. So like between these two moments, Ariana Grande kind of got like a bone thrown, you could say. It's okay though; she'll bounce back. Wicked's going to be massive, so it's fine. Dance electronic recording, we have Disclosure, Fortet, Fred Again, and Baby Keem for Leave Me Alone, Justice and Tame Impala for Never Ender, and Witchy, which is Kaytranada featuring Childish Gambino. Excellent category. I love this. Seeing that Fred got nominated for a single here lets you know that his album 10 will be nominated next time around, without a doubt. Dance electronic album, you have Hyperdrama from Justice, Timeless from Kaytranada. Those two had to be here. Like that was non-negotiable, and they're there. That's great. Charlie XCX is here for Brat. I wasn't sure exactly what category Brat would be put in, but it's there. That would be my choice. That's my album of the year. And we also have the Fortet album and the Zed album. Zed whatever. But yeah, so this category next year should have for sure Fred Again, and we hope Jamie XX. Dance pop recording, you have Von Dutch from Charlie. Charlie kind of really branching out across genres with these noms. Got Me Started from Troye Sivan is here, which is nice. He got nominated for Rush last year. What this does mean, though, is his album, Something to Give Each Other, didn't get nominated. That was from last year, right after the period switched. I would have loved that to be in the dance album category over Zed's album. I think that's a bit of a miss. But hey, at least he got something here. And then Yes and is nominated in this category for Ari. Not my favorite nomination. I want to shout out the progressive R&B album category because 3 of those nominations are Kalani, Childish Gambino, and No Worries, aka Anderson .Paak and Knowledge. Nice choices. Rap category is a bit underwhelming this year, I gotta be honest. So if you look at rap album this year, it's J. Cole for Might Delete Later, which was not like an official album from Cole. That was, of course, where 10-Minute Drill was from, his Drake Kendrick, beef entry song that he of course deleted. The Grammys actually nominated that project, which had some good moments. Shout out Ray 24, but like, why is that nominated? That's very strange to me. Also nominated is Auditorium Volume 1 by Common and Pete Rock. Perplexing choice. Alligator Bites Never Heal from Doechii. That should win. The Death of Slim Shady by Eminem. Huge groan, but not a surprise. And then We Don't Trust You by Future and Metro, which is a fine pick. Unfortunately, that means Vince Staples is not here. 21 Savage is not here. Megan Thee Stallion, Schoolboy Q. There were good albums that didn't get in, and that's a bit disappointing to me. Also, if you look at the rap song, categories, best rap song, you have Asteroids by Rhapsody and Hit Boy. You have Carnival, surprisingly, Kanye and Ty Dolla $ign. I love that that's in here. Honestly, did not expect that in the least. Like That, Kendrick and Future, great, and Metro. Not Like Us and Kendrick. So Kendrick, I think Justly is nominated twice in this category for those 2 songs. And then Yeah, Glow, kind of surprising from Glorilla. Glorilla seems to have some Grammy support, getting nominated for Best New Artist previously. In Best Rap Song, I would have loved one of the A$AP Rocky singles from this year, like Hijack. Taylor Swift got nominated for a music video, so they knew about the Rocky songs. I would love Hijack in there. But yeah, like, it's fine. I think Carnival being there is pretty sick. But then you go to rap performance. We have Enough by Cardi B, one of the Common and Pete Rock songs, and he sent Ultima by Doechii, great choice. Like That, Houdini from Eminem, Yeah, Glow, and Not Like Us. Like, I think it's fine because Not Like Us is gonna wrap these up as it should. But I always would love best rap album to be handled better, and I just think this is a pretty weak field they've done. A lot of star power and country solo performance. You have Beyonce for 16 Carriages, and also Jelly Roll, Casey Musgrave, Shabuzi, and Chris Stapleton. It's pretty impressive. Country duo group performance. Love to see Two Most Wanted from Beyonce and Miley Cyrus. Excellent choice. You also have I Had Some Help by Post Malone and featuring Morgan Wallen. I think that's Wallen's first Grammy nomination, I'm pretty sure. Notably, Zach Bryan didn't submit this year. He got blanked after previously being nominated in the past. Also, looking at country album, Cowboy Carter's there, Beyonce. We knew that would be there. Casey, Chris Stapleton, Lainey Wilson, and then Post Malone for F1 Trillion, his first country record. So, didn't necessarily expect that, but there it is. Post has failed to break through in the bigger categories the last few albums he's put out, so this genre pivot seemingly has worked in a certain sense at the Grammys. Best African music performance, I think, is pretty strong this year. You have Yemi Alade for Tomorrow, Burna Boy for Higher, Chris Brown, surprisingly, for Sensational, featuring DeVito and Lil J, and then Asake and Wizkid for MMS, and Thames for Love Me JJ. So, there's a lot of star power in that category. That's one of the, I think, most stacked ones we've seen. I personally would be pulling for Thames across all the African categories this year. I thought that album was tremendous. There were some amazing songs on that, so that I hope that happens. Unsurprisingly, Bad Bunny's in Musica Urbana and Peso Plumas and Musica Mexicana. I would think they would win just because they're the most famous people in their categories this year. I think Bunny is going up against Balvin, so that's possible, but yeah. That's the 2025 Grammy nominations. I think most of the nominations go at this point. It's largely agreeable. It's hard to find really overt stuff. Like Jacob Collier, Common and Pete Rock. There's weird Grammy things, even the Andre 3000 album, to be honest. But for the most part, in line with expectations, I will be giving my Grammy predictions before the awards happen next year, so make sure you tune in for that. Again, a lot of big people to talk about who will actually win. Will Taylor win it again? Will Beyonce finally get the big one? We'll see. We'll get to that in time. Let me know, though, what did you think of the nominations? What was a big surprise or snub to you? Who are you most excited to see nominated? Let me know. And for more music awards discussion around the Grammys and music reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. All right, that's going to do for the pod this week. Next week, Dune Prophecy premieres on HBO, and Emilia Perez, a Oscar contender, premieres on Netflix. I'm also going to get to A Real Pain from Jesse Eisenberg. And then we just have a ton of music. Jin from BTS, his first solo album. Shawn Mendes, Corday, 070 Shake, Maxo Cream. A lot to get into. So make sure you subscribe. YouTube.com/nostalgiapod. Linktree.com/nostalgiapod. See links below. Get the best of 2024 Spotify post linked below. Let me know it's good, and I'll see you next week.